After watching The Batman the day it came out on March 4th, 2022, I absolutely fell in love. The acting, the narrative, the editing, but most of all, the sound design, the score, and the cinematography, which is what I'll be tackling in this documentary today. Here, I want to show how cinematography and sound design is able to make the Batman terrifying. A brief history of cinematography. First, I want to talk briefly about the history of cinematography and how far we've come. From the first motion picture film in 1888, Louis Le Prince's Roundhay Garden scene, cinematography has played a part in all cinema media. The term cinematography wasn't used until the cinematograph was created by the Lumiere brothers, and from then on, cinematography was observed and played a crucial role in all films. How cinematography makes the Batman terrifying.
The Batman.
I interviewed one of my college lecturers, Ben Lomas, and asked him, do you think the cinematography within the film The Batman makes the character appear more terrifying, and how does it achieve this? And here was his response.
I think it depends on what scene. Certainly the reveal of him in the metro train station, the use of the darkness, the use of the lighting and the extra mise-en-scène within the scene makes that character certainly more terrifying in the essence that we start off with very close-ups of the thugs. They're in his face. But when we cut to the black, where Batman is lurking in the shadows, and then we cut back to the thugs look smaller. There's much more space around them, and the frame is just sort of filled with black and Batman. I think it's the unknown. I think that is what makes him scary.
The themes are established very well with the opening scenes. Bruce Wayne narrates here. He speaks of darkness, shadows, and fear.
The city streets are crowded for the holiday, even with the rain. Hidden in the chaos is the element, waiting to strike like snakes. But I'm there too, watching. 2 years of nights have turned me into a nocturnal animal. I must choose my targets carefully. It's a big city. I can't be everywhere. But they don't know where I am. We have a signal now for when I'm needed. But when that light hits the sky, it's not just a call. It's a warning to them. Fear is a tool. They think I'm hiding in the shadows, but I am the shadows.
This quickly establishes the themes of the overall movie, as well as the theme for my documentary. The Batman puts fear into his enemies, which makes them easier targets for him, but not only his enemies, but the public eye as well. The Batman is a vigilante, and he's very dangerous, so it makes sense that the public eye would fear him as well.
Please don't hurt me. Are you kidding me, sir? You gonna let him in here?
My favourite scene for cinematography would have to be the car chase scene. This is probably the most intense scene in the movie, and it's perfectly constructed with so many beautiful pictures. Right near the end, where Oswald Cobblepot, or the Penguin, thinks he's beaten the Batman, he is at his highest point. We get the view of himself in the car, and what he would have seen in his wing mirror with all the explosions behind him. But then the camera switches to his actual wing mirror, and we watch the Batman fly out of the flames. And now we see the Penguin, looking in despair. He let his guard down from celebrating too early. After the slow motion ends, the Batman speeds his car into the back of the Penguin, and completely flips him over. We now see the Penguin at his lowest, in fear. The Penguin is one of the most powerful people in Gotham, and seeing him at this angle, fearing the Batman, is truly terrifying. There is also the scene where Batman infiltrates the nightclub, which really makes me think that this movie was made to be a horror movie. The Batman hides in the shadows on the ceiling, where no one would expect him to be. They only find him due to the sound of his rubber suit. Then for the rest of the scene, the only light we get is from the guns of the goons, and it looks amazing. Then Falcone dies or something? I don't know, there's so much more I wish I could mention, but we've got to move on. My own attempt at mastering cinematography. I decided to try and attempt at my own idea of cinematography. I love the idea that the position of a camera can set the mood for a scene, a character, or even the audience. Using a high angle here, you can see that this character has a lot more confidence and is a lot more powerful than the character below him, who will be filmed at a low angle since he is the one cowering. He's metaphorically and physically below him. The score and soundtrack. I want to quickly mention the score and the soundtrack of this movie before I go into sound design, since I won't be tackling it as much in that section. The score is fantastic. It's powerful, thrilling, dramatic, and perfect for this movie. It carries the same score throughout the movie, but changes the intensity and instruments depending on the intensity of the scene and the mood. The Nirvana song Something in the Way is used for this movie, and it also fits perfectly. It has multiple occurrences, once at the beginning,
I wish I could say I'm making a difference, but I don't know.
and once again at the penultimate scene.
I have had an effect here, but not the one I intended.
A brief history of sound design. The term sound designer was used for the first time for a film in 1979. Francis Ford Coppola granted Walter Murch the title of sound designer for his work on Apocalypse Now, of which Walter was awarded his first Oscar. Much like cinematography, sound design is now always a critical aspect of modern film. How sound design makes the Batman terrifying. I also asked Ben Lomas, do you think the sound design within the film The Batman makes the character appear more terrifying, and how does it achieve this? And here was his response.
In regards to the sound design, well, I think it's less is more, isn't it? Robert Pattinson's Batman is very sparing with some of his lines of dialogue. The sound effects, the footsteps when he initially emerges from the dark, they're pitched up, you can hear them, they're imposing, but they're infrequent.
I have to mention this scene one last time. The sheer fear that this shot alone holds is insane. The characters hear the footsteps, and as the chaos dies down, we, the audience, start to hear the footsteps too. Slowly, we see a silhouette creeping out of the shadows, the footsteps pounding and making all other sounds obsolete. Then, he comes into frame, and they laugh. Batman then shows them they shouldn't be laughing.
The hell are you supposed to be?
I'm vengeance.
Fantastic. Anyway, this movie's sound is loud and detailed. You can hear all of the moving fabric, the footsteps, the breathing, the clinks of metal. It's immersive. It's like you're there as the cameraman, listening to everything that is going on. There's even a violin stinger used in this scene, traditionally used for jump scares in horror movies. I mean, come on. I want to go back again to the car chase scene. The best scene in the movie, of course. The short pause of fear from the Penguin just shows how much of a menace the Batman is. The extremely loud screeching of the car revving up, much like the footsteps from the first scene, makes all other sounds obsolete and silences all of the characters. After the chase scene starts, the score kicks in and is so much more intense than ever before in this movie. car sounds from the Batmobile the most prominent here. Despite us following both the Batmobile and the Penguin's car, the Batmobile is always louder as it's much more powerful. The screeches from the tyres and the revving from the engine, or even when he hits through a fence or into the back of the Penguin, they are always the loudest parts of this entire sequence, and I think it works so well to show, metaphorically, who the threat is here, and who we should all be afraid of. And now it's finally time for the conclusion. Okay, this has probably been way longer than it's supposed to be, but oh well. Fear is not the main theme for the Batman, but it shows that the creators wanted it to be. As a vigilante, you should fear him, whether you're a villain or just a civilian. No one has any idea what the Batman is capable of, what he could do, what he knows, or what his intentions are, and this idea is shown so well through great camera shots and angles, dialogue, and the score. He does get a little redemption right near the end where he saves a lot of people or whatever, but that doesn't matter. He's scary in every other part of the movie. Case closed, thanks for watching.